the 10 U.S. states that will burn first in World War III. For most of human history, the United States has been invincible. Protected by two massive oceans, it was a fortress that no army could touch. But technology has killed geography. Today, the threat isn't coming from a boat, it's coming from the edge of space. Before we look at where the bombs will fall, we have to understand who is sending them. The list of nations that can successfully strike the American mainland is terrifyingly short. First, there is Russia. They possess the largest nuclear arsenal on Earth, with heavy ICBMs like the Sarmat that can reach any point in the US in under 30 minutes. Second is China. For decades, they had a small force, but they are rapidly building hundreds of new missile silos in their desert. They can now hit the East Coast, the West Coast, and everything in between. And then, the wild card, North Korea. Their Hwasong 15 and 17 missiles have theoretically demonstrated the range to hit Washington, D.C., though their accuracy is still debated. So, if the leaders in Moscow, Beijing, or Pyongyang decide to push the button, they aren't going to fire randomly at Times Square or Disney World. That is a Hollywood myth. Real war is about math. It's about crippling the enemy's ability to fight back. If Russia or China attacks, they will prioritize counterforce targets. They will try to destroy America's nukes before America can launch them. And unfortunately for the people living there, America keeps its biggest guns in 10 specific states. These are the 10 states that will be sacrificed to save the rest of the country. At number 10, it is New Mexico. This state is the spiritual home of the apocalypse. It was here, in the white sands of the desert, that the first atomic bomb was tested in 1945. But New Mexico isn't on this list because of history. It's on this list because of maintenance. Nuclear weapons are not like bullets. You can't just put them in a box and leave them for 50 years. They decay. The radioactive cores degrade. The electronics rot. New Mexico is home to Los Alamos and Sandia National Laboratories. These aren't just science fairs. These are the mechanics' garages for the end of the world. This is where America designs its new warheads and, more importantly, keeps the old ones working. If China or Russia wants to win a long war, they have to destroy America's ability to reload. By vaporizing these labs, they ensure that even if the US survives the first strike, its nuclear stockpile will slowly die on its own. Furthermore, New Mexico holds the Kirtland Air Force Base, which houses the massive underground storage complex for nuclear gravity bombs. It is the largest stockpile of deployable nukes in the country. An enemy general looks at New Mexico and sees the brain and the storage locker of the US arsenal. If you take this state off the map, the American war machine loses its ability to think. At number 9, it is Missouri. If you are driving through Missouri, you see corn, rivers, and highways. But if you look at the satellite maps used by the Russian military, you see a giant bullseye painted over Whiteman Air Force Base. This base is the home of the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. These are the jagged, black, bat-wing planes that can fly deep into enemy territory without being detected by radar. In a nuclear war, these planes are the first responders. They are designed to slip through Russian or Chinese air defenses and drop nuclear bombs on their leadership bunkers. Because the B-2 is so dangerous, Russia cannot allow these planes to take off. A nuclear strike on Missouri wouldn't just be one missile. It would be a cluster of warheads designed to crater the runways and collapse the hangars at Whiteman. But there is a secondary reason. Missouri is a central hub for America's rail and transit networks. During the Cold War, it was a transit zone for missile components. Strategists call this logistical interdiction. By turning Missouri into a radioactive wasteland, you cut the United States in half, making it impossible to move supplies from the East Coast to the West Coast. At number 8, we have the state that holds the nervous system of the entire operation. It is Nebraska. If you were to cut off a human's head, the body would stop fighting. In the context of nuclear war, Nebraska is the head. Located near Omaha is Offutt Air Force Base, the headquarters of U.S. STRATCOM, Strategic Command. This is the most important office building on the planet. Inside its deep underground bunkers, generals and computers track every single nuclear asset the United States owns. If a submarine in the Pacific needs to launch a Trident missile, the order comes from Nebraska. If a silo in North Dakota needs to open its doors, the code comes from Nebraska. For an enemy like China, Nebraska is a decapitation target. If they can hit STRATCOM before the American president can issue an order, they might be able to freeze the US military in a state of confusion. The goal is to blind the commanders and break the chain of command. Because of this, Nebraska wouldn't just be hit, it would be erased. The enemy would use high-yield, ground-burst weapons to dig deep into the earth and crack the bunkers. The fallout from a strike like that would cover the entire Midwest in lethal ash within hours. If Nebraska is the brain, this next state is the eyes. At number 7, it is Colorado. We have all seen the movies where the blast doors close on a massive mountain fortress. That place is real. It is the Cheyenne Mountain Complex and the nearby Peterson Space Force Base. Colorado is the home of NORAD, North American Aerospace Defense Command. Their job is simple but terrifying. Watch the sky. Using a network of satellites and radars, the people in Colorado are the first ones to know that World War III has started. They are the ones who scream, "Warning!" when a Russian missile clears the horizon. For the enemy, Colorado is a massive problem. As long as NORAD is active, the United States can see everything. They can track incoming warheads and try to intercept them. To win, Russia or China must blind the United States. They need to gouge out its eyes. That means hitting the Rockies with multiple nuclear weapons. And because these command centers are buried under thousands of feet of solid granite, the enemy cannot use small, tactical nukes. They have to use their heaviest city busters to cause enough seismic shock to collapse the tunnels. When the sirens sound in Colorado, there will be no time to run. The state is targeted not for its people, but for its vision. At number 6, we have a victim of geography. It is Kansas. Kansas is known as the flyover state, but in a nuclear war, it becomes the die-over state. Kansas has military value. It hosts Fort Riley and vital air refueling wings at McConnell Air Force Base. Without aerial refueling tankers, American bombers can't reach Russia or China. So, destroying the tankers in Kansas is a top priority to ground the U.S. Air Force. But there is a darker reason Kansas is on this list. It is called the envelope. During the Cold War, military planners realized that if Russia fired missiles over the North Pole aimed at the strategic targets in the South, like Texas or Louisiana, the flight path goes directly over Kansas. Missiles are not perfect. Guidance systems fail. Engines cut out early. If a nuclear warhead aimed for a target further south falls short, it lands in Kansas. If it drifts right or left, it lands in Kansas. Furthermore, Kansas sits right next to the major missile fields we will talk about soon. The radioactive fallout from its neighbors will drift downwind, blanketing the state in a lethal fog. Kansas is the collateral damage capital of the world. Now we enter the top 5. These states are not just support systems, they are the shooters. At number 5, it is Washington. Specifically, the area around Seattle and the Puget Sound. This is the home of Naval Base Kitsap. This base is the single largest concentration of deployed nuclear weapons in the United States. It is the home port for the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines. Just one of these submarines carries enough firepower to destroy every major city in the Northern Hemisphere. They are the dead hand of America. The logic is that even if the entire U.S. is destroyed, these submarines will survive underwater and burn the enemy's country to the ground in revenge. For Russia and China, these submarines are the ultimate nightmare. They must be destroyed while they are still docked at the port. If the enemy detects that tensions are rising, their first move will be to launch a hypersonic missile at Washington State to trap those submarines before they can escape into the deep ocean. This makes the beautiful coast of the Pacific Northwest one of the most dangerous places to stand. The strike here would be designed to be absolute, vaporizing the port, the storage facilities, and the city of Seattle, just to be sure. The next 3 states share a terrifying purpose. They were chosen to be nuclear sponges. At number 4, it is South Dakota. In the western part of this state, hidden beneath the rolling plains and ranch land, lie the silos of the Ellsworth Air Force Base complex and the nearby missile fields managed from the borders. Here, the United States keeps its Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. These are the land-based nukes. They are ready to launch in minutes. But here is the twisted strategy. The US government put them here deliberately to draw fire. Think about it. If you are Russia, you know you have to destroy these missiles before they launch at you. But the silos are spread out. They are miles apart. You can't just drop one bomb to get them all. You have to dedicate one nuclear warhead for every single silo. South Dakota is a trap. It is designed to force the enemy to waste hundreds of their nukes on empty fields, so they don't have enough left to hit New York or Los Angeles. The state is a shield made of dirt and wheat. The people living there are living on top of a target that is designed to be hit over and over and over again. At number 3, the sponge gets bigger. It is Wyoming. Wyoming is the least populated state in America, and that is exactly why the military loves it. It is the headquarters of F.E. Warren Air Force Base, which controls a massive web of missile silos spreading across 3 states. Wyoming is the heart of America's ICBM force. For an enemy planner, Wyoming is a math problem. There are 150+ silos managed here. To disable them, you need to saturate the state with nuclear fire. If a war starts, Wyoming ceases to exist as a habitable landmass. The ground bursts bursts used to crack the hardened concrete silos will kick up millions of tons of radioactive dirt. This dirt is what experts call black rain. It will fall for weeks, poisoning the water, the soil, and the air. Wyoming is ranked higher than South Dakota because the concentration of command bunkers here is denser. It's not just a sponge, it's a command node for the apocalypse. At number 2, we have the state that acts as the front door. It is Montana. Look at the map. If a missile flies from Russia to the US, it comes over the Arctic Circle. The first US state it crosses is Montana. Montana hosts the Malmstrom Air Force Base, which controls one of the largest missile fields in the world, 341st Missile Wing. Because Montana is geographically closer to Russia than the other missile states, the flight time for its missiles is shorter. This makes Montana the most aggressive threat. If the US president orders a strike, the missiles from Montana will hit Moscow first. Therefore, Russia must hit Montana first. There is no waiting. There is no negotiation. If the radar shows a war is starting, the first wave of enemy warheads will impact the Montana wilderness. The goal is to bury the silos under mountains of fire before the US can open the doors. The sacrifice risk here is catastrophic. And finally, the most dangerous place to be in the United States during World War III. At number 1, it is North Dakota. North Dakota is the only state that holds the nuclear trifecta. 1. Minot Air Force Base. This is the only base in the US that houses both nuclear-capable B-52 bombers and Minuteman III missiles. 2. Radar systems. It sits on the northern edge, hosting the critical radars that track incoming fire. 3. Storage. Massive fuel and weapon depots. North Dakota is, quite literally, a powder keg. If you are a general in China or Russia, you look at North Dakota and you see the single biggest threat to your existence. If you destroy North Dakota, you destroy a huge chunk of America's ability to fight back by land and by air. It is a use it or lose it target. In a full-scale nuclear exchange, North Dakota would be hit with dozens, perhaps hundreds of warheads within the first 15 minutes of the war. The sheer amount of thermal energy released would turn the winter snow into steam instantly. The shock waves would flatten everything for hundreds of miles. The US government chose North Dakota to be the ultimate shield. It is the state most likely to burn so that the rest of America might survive. These 10 states are glowing red. They are the sacrifice zones. Now you know the victims. You know exactly which American states will burn first when the missiles fly. But the most important question is, who pulls the trigger? It's not just about Russia or China anymore. We have identified the 10 specific countries that are actively pushing the world toward the edge right now. And the country at number 1 is the last one you would expect. If you want to know who is going to start this war so you can prepare, I have left a link to that full breakdown right down in the description. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to survive the fallout. Click the link below to watch the 10 countries that will trigger World War III. I'll see you there.